Chirag, Kataria, along with Karnatak, sir. Please come.
Request taxation committee members to please come on the dais for the presentation.
Bari. Mama, shawl Mari. Munto, no? Chirag, right? Bari, sir.
Now the floor is open for question and answers.
My question is like, how will my supplier come to know when I receive the goods? 45 days is the time limit.
Hello.
Yes, I just say 45 days is the time limit. How will my supplier come to know when I receive the goods?
No, we have to communicate to the supplier. Supplier will not be knowing that you have received the goods after 10 days or 15 days. So you have to maintain proper documentation for accounting. And whenever you receive the goods, then you are at the security gate. You have to take a inward of the vehicle. First point is that when you have to take the on the security gate itself, you have to take the inward of the vehicle. Then you have to take the delivery challan, stamp it on the invoice, and also send it through a mail to the supplier that we have received your goods. And if you have received the goods and if you have only objection, then only you will raise an objection. If there is no objection, it will be deemed that you have accepted the goods as per the parameters of the PO, what you have agreed between the supplier and the buyer.
Practically, it's possible for every supplier. We are going to tell them that we have received the goods within so and so days.
No, see, it is for not for the supplier you have to tell. It is for the income tax purpose when it is come for the school. See, for supplier, you make the payment 45 days, 50 days, he will take your payment. But for income tax purpose, we have to maintain this document. You need not, every time whenever you receive a document, you need not inform to the supplier. You will keep it for your documentation that on the 1st April was my invoice date. I have received the goods on 10th April. This is taken into my inward register. I have my delivery challan. I have on my invoice, I have written, or my manager, factory manager, or my store manager has already signed and received the goods with these details. And when you make the freight payment, or when you receive that freight lorry receipt LR copy, you make the payment. That also proves that you have made the payment after the receipt of the goods and not before the receipt of the goods. Thank you.
Yeah, but there is a criterion of acceptance of the goods. Yes. Because we cannot take this 45 days starting from the invoice date.
That is what.
But acceptance of the goods.
That is what, sir.
But there is no deadline for acceptance. They can accept it after 15 days, after 1 month.
So once there is delivery of the goods, acceptance has to be made within 15 days. If you have any objection,
there in that,
yes, definitely it is there. So if you have received the goods, if you do not raise any objection, then it is deemed as acceptance within 15 days. If you do not raise any objection within 15 days from the delivery of the goods.
Okay.
I have a general question. I come under the medium enterprise. I have more than 300 suppliers basically who supply me the goods. At the end of the financial year, 31st March, I have only 10 suppliers to whom I have to make the payment.
Yes.
So, should I only maintain the books or documents only for the 10 suppliers or all the 300 suppliers?
No, it is always advisable to maintain all the documents for all the 300 suppliers. So you will never get to know which payments are pending after every year. Every year, this 10 supplier will not be as a syndicator in a books of account. Suppose these are the 10 syndicators for this year. For next year, it might also get changed. So as a good business practice, we have to it is a KYC documentation. Now every businessman, whenever he deals with any new supplier or a buyer, he asks your PAN, GST bezo sir, I'll check it. Now all people are getting educated. They are asking for these all documents before doing any transaction with the supplier or the buyer. So this is one more additional criteria. So kindly send your Udyam registration certificate along with now if it's a new supplier and if it is an existing supplier, it is advisable for you to take it and in the Excel sheet maintain the data. For you will get to know for whom I need to make the payment within 45 days or 15 days. You can manage your cash flows. If you don't know in 300 supply in your case, if more than 200 are medium enterprises, then you can delay the payment and you can make the payment for the one which is hit by this section. You can manage your planning and cash flows of your business. If you do not maintain the record, then you will make all the payment within the timeline. And suppose one day you will get to know that this supplier is also a micro small enterprise and you are hit by this section, then it will be disallowed in your books of account.
From the CA point of view, if he is going to look towards my books of accounts, is he concentrating only on the 10 people or is going to check for all the 300 people?
Sir, now as on
CA point of view.
Right, sir. As on CA point of view, he will look into all your the payment which are outstanding as on 31st March.
Correct. As on 31st
Yes.
March. Only the 10 people will
Yes.
concentrate. So at the moment, if for a short time, I should concentrate only for the people whom the balances are going to be there.
Correct.
In future, what your suggestion is?
Sir,
there?
sorry, I'll give you more information. But if the company, your company, that is what you have to mention him. If you're a private limited company, his answer changes.
Okay. Private
He's a
Yes.
because I know the
Correct.
case. So if it is a private limited company, we will verify everything because there is a harsher provision in Companies Act than Income Tax Act.
So for companies, there is Form 1, MSME Form 1. Every company or a body corporate has to file within 6 months. Every 6 months, they have to file one form with the MCA department regarding what is the payment due to this MSME sector. If we do not file within 1 month from the end of that period, rupees 1,000 is the penalty per day for non-filing of that form. If it is a nil form, then they are not liable to file the form. But if there is any payment due as on 30th September 2023, and if you don't file that form within 31st October, then you are liable for late payment fees from MCA.
My second question is regarding this Udyam certificate. When you are getting the Udyam certificate from the suppliers, I see many people are giving the old certificates. Okay.
Yes.
Now think that I ask them to re-register themselves, update their system. So they do it in the first week of February. So all the bills related to February have to be considered, or as you said, 3 years is still applicable if they are registered for 22.
Now that 3-year clause is for the updation. In your case, suppose for 23-24, your supplier during the month of October 2023, when you have requested, he has provided you an earlier Udyam certificate. Again in the month of December, you have requested. Again, he has provided you the old certificate. In the month of Feb, you have again requested, kindly provide. He has updated his certificate and provided to you. So once he is updated that certificate for that year, these provisions again apply from 1/4/2023 to him. He will not be
From the date of
from the date of updation.
From the date of updation only.
No. From the date when he updates, it applies for that full year. Now my certificate was lastly updated for 22-23. So for 23-24, I have not updated till Feb. So when he updated for the Feb, it gets automatically activated from the original date.
That is 1
April 2023. Yes.
Sir, both the supplier and the buyer are under the MSME.
Yes.
There is some transactions. When supplier gives a post-dated check to the so buyer has given some post-dated check to the supplier, but he has not presented within that time, and the check limit 3 months, it is over. Then whether this 43 PH will be applicable or not.
Now, in this, as you said, sir, there are two scenarios, as I've explained in my PPT. If you are giving a post-dated check to the supplier and you have written the date within the timeline of section 15, that is 45 days or 15 days, and he has encashed it lately on his own, that he has not encashed, you have given that check with the timeline specified under the section 15. But the supplier has encashed lately or he has missed the timeline due to any circumstance, it is not your fault. But you, because you need to prove that documentation that I have sent it through a courier, this check to him, this was the date, and this on that day I had my balance in my account for him to clear the check. It is his fault that he has not presented that check to the bank. But generally, supplier, any business will never miss receipt, sir. Everyone are eagerly waiting for their receipts. So no one will make that issue unless and until it is get mistake by oversight. He might have missed your check. Otherwise,
Even if supplier requested him, balance is not there, kindly.
So now this is, but we have to make sure that we make the payment. That is our, that should be our crux, sir. That whenever we make payment to our supplier, that we should be having that we should make the payment within 45 days. Whatever commitment we have given to him, on that date we should make arrangement and get his payment clear. Thank you.
Sir, if that check is which is given by the buyer to the supplier, that check is not cleared within 3 months. The check is not cleared by the supplier within 3 months, and suppose if you ask me to re-update, issue the check for next day, will that what will be
Sir, definitely now on the mistakes of the supplier, if that he has not presented your check on that given date and he has missed that 3 month timeline as per the NI Act also, then if you again reissue the check to him, but as on the date of balance sheet, if that payment was still payable and it was not paid, then we have to we have to do the disallowance, sir. Because if you have all the necessary documents, like you have the courier, you have the check photo and the time, the date what you have written, then we can fight it for under the Income Tax Act that it was applicable for disallowability, but why you haven't disallowed? Sir, we already made a payment. We had already courier the check to him with this date, and on that date I had available balance to make the payment clear. If the supplier doesn't make the payment, what is my fault? So that is one part we can fight it out at the income tax scrutiny level.
so you can reissue the check?
You can reissue, but it is always advisable that if this thing happens, then this section will apply. Actually, it will be applied. Now, seeing from point of view of the auditor, he sees that you have not made the payment within a timeline, and the balance is outstanding as on that. So what we'll check? So kindly provide these all documents to prove your point. First, we'll check from your end that whether you have given the check, yes. What was the time on the check, or what was the date you have written on the check, whether it falls within the section 15, yes. You have the courier receipt, yes. So he has not encashed. What is your communication to him? So kindly encash your check. You have not encashed. The balance is not yet debited from my account. If this communication we have, then we can definitely fight it out at the income tax level.
One more thing, regarding the investment for the small scale and micro. The investment, you said that the turnover exceeds, investment exceeds 10 crores for small scale and 5 crores for micro. Buyer, when he comes to know that whether he has increased or decreased the investment in the.
That is what I said. So buyer will never get to know supply status unless and until he asks for the Udyam registration. And every year he has to ask for the updated Udyam registration. So when your supplier updates his Udyam registration, his status automatically changes to small to micro. So you will not be able, as a buyer, I will not be able to know. Suppose my supplier whom I am purchasing the goods, he has purchased plant and machinery worth more than 10 crores. I will not be able to know for that year unless and until he updates his Udyam registration. So once he updates his Udyam registration, then only I'll get to know his status. Otherwise, there is no other way as on today that we can know the supplier status apart from the Udyam registration.
As a point of audit review, can we take that a certificate what they issue in the MSME registration, that small, micro and all. And based on that, we can take a condition of allow it your.
So that is the only base now. As on today, that Udyam certificate is the only base. That is the Bible for us now. If you have the Udyam certificate of that supplier, and if it is a micro or small enterprise, and if you have not made the payment as per the timeline, then you will be hit by this disallowance under section 43 BH.
Good evening. Actually, we are manufacturer of copper conductor.
Sorry,
And,
can
we,
you use the mic?
we purchase and supply copper on LC 90 days or sometimes 180 days also. Whether this section is applicable for LC because here the payment is secure. Because this is all about security of payment. So whether this is applicable or not.
Now it depends, sir. The LC, what you have said, sir. Now if you are purchasing from a supplier and you have provided him the LC, so now bank will make the payment. So in your books of account, so whether you have debited the party's ledger, you have created the bank ledger, like payments to bank is to be made now. If you have made that adjustment, then it is allowed. That if you think that I have an LC of 120 days, I will not make, I have not debited the party ledger, and you have not created the bank, you have not opened up the bank PCFC credit or the credit facility what is availed by the bank, then it will be hit by this section. You have to make that adjustment, sir. In your books, your on the liability side, the certainly creditors supplier name should not come there. That because you have already issued an LC and it will be made the payment, then the banker's name will come because you have to make the payment to banker.
Supplier has to be micro or small.
In your case also, the supplier has to be micro or small enterprise.
Yeah, all the supplier micro,
Yes.
medium only.
Medium will not be applicable.
Micro and small.
Lower micro.
Sorry, please. Yes. Yeah.
So in your case, it depends more on your LC term. Generally, based on your case, if your LC, the act says that you as a buyer, I have to make payment. And your payment term is 120 days, and the LC is negotiated at supplier's end. So the payment from buyer has not flown to bank, nor to the supplier. So I think what VH will still be applicable.
Yes, if that, as you said, sir, now if you discount that LC, if a supplier discount that LC, then you will not be hit by that section. And if your supplier doesn't discount that LC, then you will be definitely hit by this section.
And sir, just to add that, there will be a permission of Chirag.
Yes, sir.
If you are telling that you will only be collecting documents for the balance wherever. My suggestion and all of our suggestion is to collect for all the suppliers as much as possible. Because you don't know, after 6 months, your supplier may issue a debit note, and that will hit your account, and that will impact 43 years. That was small.
Financial year, keep for the shortcut.
Yes, no, that is small. Yeah, we will think from section. Thank you.
Please.
Sir, this is Nagaraj from GSP Solutions, and just my question is like this. Actually, we follow raising tax amount, sir. For example, invoice consists of taxable as well as GST amount. So what we do is, while making payment, first we release only basic amount.
Yes.
Once it comes to me or to it, then we release. So I hope you understood my question.
Now,
Whether it is applicable or not.
now, as you said, sir, see, when you are taking input tax credit, it will not hit to your PL account. So it will come to your balance sheet, whether it is lying in your electronic credit ledger. So you are not taking deduction for that GST amount. So it will not be hit by this section. But when you capitalize or when you don't claim the input tax credit and you debit it to the PL account, then if you don't make the payment of that GST amount also, it will be hit by this section. Got to know my point, sir? Now, suppose you are claiming you have purchased goods, but you have taken service worth rupees of 1 lakh plus 18% GST. Now you have made the payment for 1 lakh, but 18,000 you have not made the payment because your supplier has not uploaded the bill. And this 18,000 you have not claimed as an expense in your PL. You have always kept under the balance sheet, under the current duties and taxes. So this is not hit by the section 43B. If you make after 4 months your supplier has uploaded the bill and you have released the payment, that is not an issue. And if you have claimed that GST amount in your PL, and suppose you have done any construction one to your building, which is not allowed, which is where we cannot take the input tax credit as per section 17(5), then you have to debit it to the PL, or if it is in the revenue nature of expenditure, then this GST amount also has to be paid within 45 days. If you don't make the payment as on 31st March and it is outstanding, and you have made the payment after the timeline, then this will attract disallowance.
Just an example, sir. The invoice is in the month of March. Okay, as per you, it is a 45 days with an agreement, and he has uploaded the invoice in GST portal in the month of September of next year.
Yes.
Okay, we release only taxable amount in the within what you said. We kept in our balance sheet is tax amount in our balance
That
sheet.
is what you have not claimed you have not claimed it as an expenditure, so it is allowed.
जैसे भी आपने इनके केस में कहा था कि सर्टिफिकेट अपडेट होना चाहिए, अभी मैंने दूसरी बार पार्टी को बोला है उसने फरवरी तक मार्च 31 तक अपडेट नहीं किया है, अगर उसने नेक्स्ट ईयर में अपडेट किया है तो उसका क्या स्टेटस रहेगा?
तो वो साल के लिए 23-24 के लिए वो सस्पेंडेड
रहेगा।
I have a question. Suppose a firm is a major industries. Suppose major industries like Reliance Industries or Tata Products, everything, and they are not making the payments to the MSME vendor, and so is registered under micro or service categories. Whether 43 BH is applicable?
Yes, because we have to see the status of the supplier. So supplier for Reliance or Tata Industry is the MSME. So these big corporates has to make the payment as per the timeline.
Suppose if they are not making, in spite of our request for the stating that we are under MSME, and my period of agreement as per the letter of acceptance is 60 days. After that, if they are not making, what I have to do?
There are two things. If you have received the payment after the timeline also, it is the duty of their auditor and their CFO to look after whether it is disallowed under their books. For you, you can claim for the interest part from them. See, you have made the payment after 120 days. It was agreed over 60 days. If you have agreed for 60 days and have received payment after 60 days late, then you can claim interest for that 60 plus that 15 days. Because as per the time 45 days, you need to make the payment. You have received on the 128th day. So balance that period, you can claim the interest as per the bank rate notified. Twice the bank rate notified.
And one more
through a legal form.
Suppose I am paying the GST, whatever the amount invoice is raised, and I already paid the payment, uploaded in GST portal also. But they are not making the GST payment in spite of the 60 days period or whatever it is. Whether I can claim the GST interest from them?
Sir, as such, there is no provision for us to claim interest on the GST amount, sir.
But they are delaying, if they are delaying inordinately.
For that, we have a law. For that, GST department, for when they are scrutinizing the books of these corporates, they will disallow that interest and they will charge the interest. So then, why you have claimed you have not made the payment within 180 days, then you are not allowed to take the input tax credit. So once you are not allowed to take the input tax credit, but you have availed that credit and utilized, then they will charge you interest under that GST Act. But from our end, we cannot charge more interest on that.
Sir, one question from my side. It is asked by one of the trader friend of mine.
Yes.
What is the penalty if I register as a manufacturer? If I'm a trader, but I register myself in MSME as manufacturer, is there any penalty? I give the reason also. They are looking this provision not from angle of payment. वो बोलते हैं पैसा देने का तो हम दे देंगे, आने वाला कैसा वसूल करना है. So what is his strategy is register as a manufacturer, being a trader, whatever is the penalty will pay it later, send this copy to my जहाँ से पैसा आना है, और if it comes, it's profitable. So is there any penalty in MSME Act for registration as manufacturer?
No, sir. As such, there is no penalty clause for misclassification on that.
When we buy a raw material from this kind of the thing, he is a trader as well as maybe a small manufacturer. Okay, and we buy a raw material, not a semi-finished or a finished product. How we actually?
No, any form of goods, it is applicable. If the trader from you are purchasing is also a manufacturer come trader,
So you
you are
become a
purchasing.
manufacturer, we become.
No, he will
Because we
become
are-
a manufacturer.
No, we are buying only the raw material, not the finished or semi-finished.
Even though looking into his Uddam registration, if he has registered as a manufacturing assessee or the
You cannot
enterprise.
have two of them registered.
No. On a single PAN, you cannot
So
have.
he'll be considered
Yes,
as a manufacturer.
Exclusive trader idru applicable ಇಲ್ಲ.
Okay.
Only part manufacturing idru applicable.
So good evening, I'm Danish Nattu. It is very disheartening that for a trader, this MSME payment is not applicable, but for general, so as per the guidelines, it is how much is the interest which is applicable? You told 6%.
No, that is rise the rate of the bank notified. Today, bank notified rate are 8%. Now into 3 you have to do and you can take that.
Fine. If a tax liability to a normal taxpayer, the government can charge anything. But why only in this law 8% or 6% into 3? Why? Because any business loan is not less than 12%.
Definitely. So what is the, you are talking about the rate of interest. If you go into Income Tax Act and GST Act, it is also 18% and 24%. If you make a delayed payment of TDS, you pay 1.5% as the interest per month. For delay, in case of income tax, GST, if you wrongly claimed or you have not paid GST on the outward supplies, then also you make payment as 1.5% per month. So in generally it is 24 or 18% by the government itself.
My question, why I am telling you, sir, if a person who is a defaulter, he is not paying the interest also, he will take 5 years, like 18% into 5 years, means 5 years, he will not pay to the vendor only. आपको जो केस करना है करो, ज्यादा कितना भरना है, 18% भरना है, मैं 5 साल तक पेमेंट नहीं दूंगा, 5 साल तक रोटेशन करता रहेगा बचेगा, उस केस में क्या हो सकता है?
It's that only whenever you give a legal notice to a legal counselor, if you just go through that notice, he will not claim your interest part also. You will claim your mental agony, whatever your mental harassment you are facing from your banker. He will charge 2 lakh that you have faced this difficulty due to your non-payment. He will claim that also, and again his fees also he will claim in his letter to the supplier. So whenever we go into court of law, it is not that interest amount that will be claimable. It is the fees of the advocate plus the mental agony you have faced through this non-payment from this supplier. You can also claim from the court of law. That is decided under the court of law.
Interest is not applicable for trader.
It is not for me, for general public.
And professional register.
Yes, sir. Yes, we can.
That's a chartered account.
Yes, definitely.
How will fit in the definition? Chartered accounts, they are providing, only by providing services.
Yes.
They are not transferring any properties or any goods. How will
Definitely, sir. Under the administration, we have that option that you are manufacturer or service provider. But we for the service provider, what kind of service you are providing? We have need to select that NIC code. Then we'll definitely get listed.
Sir, one more thing. Sir, I am a trader also and a service provider also. I am a trader also and a service provider, micro and in trading. Red line it is trading. Then how can I claim?
As I said, if you your supply is a trader come a service provider, and if he takes a registration as a service provider, then this section is it. If he takes your as a trader, it is his lookout, sir. Then you have to make payment as per your agreed terms, not as per the timeline specified under that.
Can we make 2 of them other?
No.
One as service provider and one as
Yes. You can update it, sir.
But my trading is 90% of my business. 10% is only.
Even though your 10% of your trading business, your in a 100% turnover, the service is only 10% of it. Even you can take as a service provider as a registration. And all the trading related supplies what he has made to the respective buyers, he can claim the payment. As per this.
Last question for the day.
This MSME income certificate will be issued to everybody, like a trader or a manufacturer or a service provider. Okay. Suppose if a purely trader takes a certificate, registering as a manufacturer, and he supplies, he trades the goods. The buyer, how he comes to that, whether it's a what base the certificate is taken.
Sir,
Whether it's a manufacturing or else
that is what, sir, I have already explained in my PPT also. It is impossible for a buyer to sit here and to know the classification of a supplier. If he takes a Udyam registration as a manufacturer, then you have to make the payment as per the timeline. We cannot dispute or we cannot look into the books of the buyer because we don't have any access of that. we agree with you, sir, that your buyer has he has taken as a redemption as a manufacturer instead of a trader, but we will not be in a position to prove because we don't have any access to his books of account.
His income will be very like pretty much.
Whatever his income is, sir, but will not be able to.
Buyer, sir, buyer purchase will be taxes will be disallowed, sir.
That is what, sir. He has to make the payment as per the time.
Can we take the in because that I am not a manufacturer? Okay,
No, sir. If he has taken the Udyam registration and he do not provide you the Udyam registration certificate, instead of that he gives you a declaration that you are not registered under the I am not registered under the MSME Act, then no issues for you because he only has given you the declaration. Even if I had an Udyam registration, I do not share that Udyam registration to you, but I share instead of that I share a declaration that I am not registered under MSME Act. So on that certificate or on that declaration, you realize you have made payment after the timeline. So it is not disallowed.
Sir, suppose if you take the registration certificate as a manufacturer, and suppose if you give a declaration that I am not a manufacturer, I am a trader.
That contradictory statement cannot be taken from that supplier. You have to rely on one thing. Here, he cannot rely on both the things. If he is giving the contradictory statement that I am a Uddam registered MS micro small enterprise, even I am not registered under MSME, he only is contradicting his status. So we have to make him clear that on which stand you stand, whether you are an MSME registered person or non-MSME. You cannot rely on both the things.
As a point of auditor, if any trader also uses that MSME certificate under section 250, that should be biased.
Yes. Now, if as an auditor, if you give me the list of your supplier and all your Uddam registration, if the supplier was actually a trader but he has given you as a manufacturer, then this section will get hit and we have to report if you don't make the payment.
Sir, I don't see manufacturer whether he's a manufacturer or a trader will not be knowing. That will not be.
That is what I have said. See, sir, that is what I have said. From the
So we will, sir, we take this off the record.
Sir, only MSME certificate will be there. There is a manufacturer or a trader will not be
Sir, we take this. Sir, we take this after the session. We take this off the record. Sir, excuse me, sir. Sir, we take this off the record, sir. Thank you, Chirag. Thank you for the effective Q&A. As we end this session, probably one thing we have realized is this section is a double-edged sword. So, as a MSME, I have to comply for the payment. Also, I have to comply at the same time as MSME for the receivables also. So, the crux is how efficiently we manage this, and probably in coming days, handling or managing our working capital becomes quite a challenge, and we'll have to plan it very, very effectively. The PPT of this session we will share with the chamber, and they will share it with all of you. I really thank CA Chirag Kataria for providing such a comprehensive explanation on this recent amendments, which is affecting all the businesses today. I also thank the managing committee of the Karnataka Chamber, the taxation committee, my fellow CM members, and the members of the Tax Practice Association for coming today. And a wholehearted thank you to each and every one of you for your patient hearing and an active participation in this forum. Lastly, I would just like to add that we have one more. We have created an email ID where you can send your queries, which will be addressed based on every week basis. So you can send in your queries to the email ID. There's a dedicated email ID. The Karnataka Chamber team will share with you. I believe it's already shared. But still, in case of any queries, feel free to send a mail on that, and we will address your queries. So finally, thank you everyone. There's a tea arranged. Please have it, and hope we have a great year ending.